So I wanted to ask, how did you choose which video games to for this show, and all of the different short stories, and also the animation styles? Obviously, they vary. How did you choose those animation styles and marry them with the show with the video games that you chose for each of the short stories?
I'll take the choose games. You take the stop. The a lot of it is who would dance with us because we asked a lot of people. No, and we asked if you knew the video games that Blur Studio, our company, has worked with, you'd see that a lot of them are the people that are in the show because they trusted us and they know that we're going to treat their babies very delicately. But like Love, Death, and Robots, I think it's really important to have something for everybody. So the structure of the show is it was important for us to have indie games. It was important for us to have nostalgia games, and then it was important for us to have the bigger AAA games that are popular. And then we also knew it would be a big part of the show to have games that aren't out yet. And so it's a mix of those, and it's a mix of times from sort of 5 to 7 minutes to 10 minutes to 15, the big tent poles. Stylistically,
we in sort of some of the more AAA titles and all the ones that haven't been released yet, like Exodus, we wanted to stay close to what they're already developing with the game. And some of the others, like Pac-Man or Spelunky, where there is an established sort of cinematic style, we got some freedom to take some chances or develop a style with them. I would say that the majority of it is very high end, like cinematic trailer work. Sort of 70% of the episodes are that way.
it's built off of the established looks of the game.
And we work with some of our I would traditionally our competitors in the sort of video game space, but they are our friends that we've known for 2-3 decades, and so they all who are very familiar with the sort of game trailer and cinematic space are
The small studios, the way it works is Blur runs the whole show, but then we hire, we'll give a game cinematic to Digic or to Platige in Poland or to Axis in France, or sorry, Axis in Scotland or Unit in France, Illustratorium in Spain. So, but these are all our competitors, but they're also our friends, and they're small boutiques full of like very high quality artists who care about their work. We love working with them, supporting the community.
Awesome, beautiful.
They all love it when there's a lot. Obviously, most trailers are 3-5 minutes long if you're lucky. So when a 15-minute episode rolls in, the directors and the creative teams at all these studios get very excited. It's also, I remember when we did Love, Death, and Robots, and the first time we were doing like 15-minute episodes, how awesome it was. And so they get very excited and probably spend way too much money on it. So we are both beloved and hated at the same time whenever the work comes in.
You guys have a huge variety of games. You got Pac-Man and Warhammer 40,000. What kind of opportunities did that present for storytelling? And then what kind of challenges was there? Because you're covering such a gamut in one series.
I think that the opportunity is almost obvious in that, the beauty of the anthology is to be different. Like the danger is that they get homogenized, but that's why we have that. And I don't even know if we talked about it at this table. We haven't.
We have not.
We bring in in Love, Death, and Robots. The stories are curated from compendiums of short stories, right? The Tim picks, the team picks, and we wanted to sort of rebuild that. So we bring a lot of the same authors back: Peter Watts, John Scalzi, Adrian Tchaikovsky. They come in and they pitch. We distill the franchises down. We sort of as quickly as we can indoctrinate them into the world of the games, and then they pitch ideas to us. And a winning sort of pitch becomes a short story that becomes a screenplay. And by doing so, we're not homogenizing. It's not Tim and Dave coming up with all these different stories.
Yeah.
So that. So, but the goal, if we. There's obviously Warhammer is not likely going to be a comedy, so there's sort of an inherent lane that it's going to stay in. But as much as we can, we try and have some horror, some straight up action, some comedy if we can. And New World, for example, I wouldn't say they have moments of humor in some of what they do, but I wouldn't say you would describe it as a humorous game. But they were we pitched them the idea. with some talent, and they were like, "That sounds fabulous," and they went for it. So we did. I think as much as we can make it have a sort of a broad appeal, both to who the audience is, but what the stories are and the sort of genres they fit in, the better.
So when it came to deciding the video games that we represent in the show, what was the one franchise that gave you the biggest challenge in terms of approaching like animation, storytelling, like
Oh, that's a good question. They're challenging for different reasons, right? Like Warhammer is like, what are you picking, right? Like what race, what like chapter, like although the chapter was easy.
So huge.
Yeah, it's like so. The challenge there is like, where do we start? The other ones are like Honor of Kings, for example, is in our series, and I love the folks that we work with over there. And they, if you've ever played Honor of Kings, and I think it just came out to sort of moved over to North America, it's a fighting game like League of Legends, if you will, or whatever. And but their favorite Love, Death, and Robots episodes were Zima Blue and very Pulse of the Machine, like very cerebral. And so they wanted like an episode that was like that, which was surprising to us. So so the challenge there is like, how do you take that world and create like a Black Mirror like episode for them? I think we actually got in like one of the authors is a sort of part-time author, but she works at I forget, like the AI labs at Caltech or somewhere, and that's where the story came from. So again, like that author pool helps us.
A lot of these authors work in the game industry too, like Tamsin Muir, who I love her novels, like Gideon the Ninth. She wrote the Spelunky episode, and she worked in the game industry. And so when it was actually talking to her about another project, and she said, oh, "I'm sorry, I'm missing my deadlines. I can't stop playing Spelunky." And I'm like, "What is that?" And then she told me about it, and then I said, "Maybe we should put it in secret level." And she said, "I'll slit the throat of anyone who tries to get in the way of me writing a Spelunky episode." So you get a lot of passion from the.
The easiest way to say it with an anthology is like they're all challenging for different reasons. Like there is, and it's kind of the beauty. There's no sort of formula you can follow to tell that story, which is awesome. It's like incredibly frustrating at times too when you're like, I fucking no idea what we're doing with the story. But you know, it's pretty. And sometimes the author came in with like a home run, and it was a sort of easy adaptation. Like The Outer Worlds was that way. Like amazing short story, like the screenwriter.
It's a great episode. Really moving.
You know, others like a bit more of a meandering path, but like sometimes that meandering path ended up like with something completely unexpected, like Pac-Man. So it's different.
Do you think that the series you're creating is a means of bridging maybe fans of animation who don't play games and people who may play games that might not necessarily watch different types of animation or anthologies, or animation is not for the game to progress in the story?
I hope so. I do. It's funny because like when you say animation, like for me, gaming was the first form of like animation. I like other than like child cartoons growing up. I remember like that was. I feel like gaming brought adult animation to Western shores long before animation did. In my opinion, but I hope that there's like some of the we did some sort of focus groups, and one of the questionnaires, or one of the folks who watched Warhammer was like, I didn't even realize I was watching animation until I got to this questionnaire, and it asked me like if I liked animation or not. So like the hope is like I think there's a whole like the cinematic work we've been doing for years. I think there's a whole untapped like adult realistic cinematic animation like explosion waiting to happen with this sort of work for whether it's Warhammer or Armored Core or like especially with like with you're looking at a movie star very well in a very different setting or playing a very different character than you've ever seen him before. So I'm hoping that yes, it will
I think anybody that likes games will like this show, and it'll feel like the game experience, an extension of the game experience they love. And I feel like anybody that loves animation, hopefully loves our Love, Death, and Robots show, and will trust that even if they're not game players, that these guys know how to tell stories. So we're gonna give it a shot, and then hopefully they'll fall in love with the world of games too. Because we hope that watching the show leads to game playing, and game playing leads to watching the show. We hope there's a
Yes, and actually, it couldn't be a more perfect home. Like the sort of multi-tiered ecosystem that is Amazon is pretty amazing. Like even just you can watch it in one click. You're
and we
playing.
can render on their network, giant AWS network.
Yep.
What is the biggest challenge going from video game to actual screen time? Where do you see this going in 3 to 5 years from now?
We really have been telling. It used to happen all the time, but you'd buy a video game, you'd have an intro scene that tells you about what you're about to play, and then you'd play it for a while, and then you usually get rewarded with another cutscene that sets you up for the next amount of play. And then those things kind of went away, and it just became gameplay. Maybe you get an intro, maybe you get a marketing video. So, but we came up in the age when we were helping them tell the story to prepare the players to play the game. So we just feel like we're doing that again, and it helps to enrich the gameplay experience, I think.
Did you guys need to help
People just
them?
give us more money and bigger platforms now, which is awesome.
I
Go ahead.
just had, it was a really quick question.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite game growing up, and did it make it into the show?
Yes, I played Warhammer. Like I painted little figures when I was a kid. Obviously, I played Pac-Man. Though I'm not sure if we played the version of Pac-Man that is in our series. But
No, not yet. But we're
Tim
working on it.
we're working on getting Joust in for Tim.
I want Joust. I want Wolfenstein.
Yes.
I want Flashback. Like, why can't I have all these games? You know, when it's a new thing, you call people up, and a lot of the games that are in there are people that work with us, as I may have mentioned. But if they're not, who the fuck are we calling and saying, give us your IP, and we're going to put it on this thing, and it's going to tell a bunch of short stories, and it's going to be part of this thing, which is really weird when you think about it, with everybody sort of throwing in together. Even for the industry, it was a weird concept.
Yeah.
But people like it after. It's just weird at the beginning, and people say, oh, well, that's actually cool. So I'm hoping that after they see it, after the show comes out, if it does well, then I'll get Joust and Space Invaders.
Unreal Tournament too, but not because of like when I was a kid. Epic Games was Epic Mega Games, and I like when it was still shareware and you Jazz Jackrabbit and One Must Fall. I'm dating myself, but like those are so like yes, we can put Jazz Jackrabbit in season 2. I'd be happy.
I think I've played more Tetris than any other
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But what a challenge! Like
Yeah.
I'd take that Pepsi challenge to write a Tetris story.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Amazing. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time.